Okay, so I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but I thought I would just share a little something. For those of you who've struggled with chronic pain or anxiety, depression, digestive issues, there's a slew of different symptoms that I could run through. But as many of you have heard in the past, that a lot of these symptoms that we experience and that we feel are actually generated through stored stress in the body and unprocessed emotions that we have never really learned to deal with throughout our lives. And then if it's say for example, could be chronic pain. Chronic pain could be either set off by a tragedy in your life, or a physical injury, which is usually what happens. In my case, it was a physical injury that flared up, but it went through the roof because of emotional pain also that was stored in the body. And come to find out, after years of trying to get help and going through different physical therapists and finally finding the right ones, I found out that what happens is the brain thinks that physical pain and emotional pain are all the same to the brain. So when you have too much of one or the other, sometimes the brain will turn on pain symptoms or anxiety or depression or, whatnot, different things, digestive issues. And it's turning these things on as a warning to say there's something wrong here. Just like if you put your hand on a stove, it's hot, your brain turns on pain, so you remove your hand so that you don't severely injure your body. So these things happen with the brain, and it's trying to protect us. And so as I'm going through my own journey, now most of my serious chronic pain issues have been resolved, but what is left is actually remaining of, I see some people starting to walk up this way. They were going the other way and now they're coming back this way. Anyways, I'll try to finish this thought. Anyways, what I do have left is mostly all generated from the brain. So the brain still thinks there is a reason to turn on pain. So it could be something very, very simple. I could go on the computer a little bit too long and the brain thinks it's, an urgency to get off, and it'll turn on pain in my hands. Just give me a second. And this pain can also go down right up my arms and then affect my back and my neck, and it's a really weird thing. And I won't get into the story why it thinks that there is threats into the computer. I can explain that another day, or somebody wants to ask me privately how that happened. But it didn't start there. That was just something that happened after a bit. Just hold a second again. Okay, so resume. So basically, it started with my neck and my back and stuff like that. And I won't get into all that. I'm kind of losing track of what I was, where my thought was. But the point is that sometimes the brain will take certain things as a threat. My chronic pain had gotten to a certain level at a point where I could just go for a walk from my house to 3 houses down, and all of a sudden my face would turn red, my chest would turn red, my breath, my chest would tighten. These symptoms were a result of having chronic pain for way too long, and so then it escalated to the point that the chronic pain became more chronic anxiety. I never got to panic attacks. I've never dealt with depression or anything like that, but I have had to deal and work through anxiety that came after a result of so many years of intense chronic pain, that after a while the body just said, oh my God, what else is going on? And it keeps on turning on things. Other people will have digestive issues as a result of this. Anyways, all that to say, even now, sometimes my nervous system still is not totally healed. So the rest of what has to be taken care of in my life personally is not something that the physical therapist, like Ricky, so to speak, I always talk about him because he's the one that literally gave me my life back. But at this point, he is doing what he said. He only needs to see me quarterly at this point, just to address, some manipulations that not manipulations, not the word I should say. I need some massage stuff and shockwave and stuff like that on my neck and my back and stuff, just to keep it up to par. It's just kind of like maintenance, so to speak. But anyways, that's besides the point. When the pain turns on, it's not to do with this stuff. for the most part. There might be some minor aches that you can get with it, but not what I still struggle with sometimes, when my brain still thinks that certain activities are a means to turn on pain, when there's nothing wrong and there's nothing that I really did that, I could go weeding in the garden and it's not that big of a deal. I'm not talking about major landscaping like I used to do. I'm just talking about certain things for too long, and it can turn on the pain. I won't get into all the little things that can just turn it on, but sometimes it's stupid little things and all of a sudden the pain turns on, or it might be just the anxiety. And it's like, I'm not even worried about that. What is that? Why I'm struggling with, anxiety and stuff. And like, I'm mentally totally okay. I'm not stressed about anything, but it could be something that turned on my nervous system. So when the aches and the pain sometimes trigger the anxiety, or vice versa. It's really a strange thing, the way the brain works. But anyways, the other day, one of the things that I've had to just kind of deal with on a regular basis, because I had done some activities that had turned on the pain there for a while, and it's taken me a while to get my brain to calm things down. It's taken about a month and a half just to get back on top of it once it says something is a threat. If the threat has been too long, or I've had a very intense summer, so because I did so much and I was just riding the wave, finally come into September, it started to turn on the symptoms and stuff, or the stuff, and it was harder to get it down. But I was still doing my self-work, and now the symptoms are starting to finally come back down. But there'll be some days that I wake up and I'll get the tiredness as a symptom. I've had plenty of sleep and my back's a little achy and I just want to keep sleeping. I don't have any motivation, and I'm like, what is this, And then it's like you get these sad thoughts. Like, I find that when my nervous system is up, and I'm not talking about nervous system being up as in the sense of it's up because something happened or something bad or something is eating at me. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when the brain starts thinking in the subconscious part of the brain. It's not in the front part where we use our thinking brain. It's the back part of our brain where it turns on pain. So the same way that if you cough, you get a tickle in your throat, you cough, or maybe a better example would even be if you're going to go drive somewhere, even across town, the road so good that you don't really have to pay attention to where you're driving. You just get there because, that part is the subconscious part of your brain that has learned over time, pattern over pattern, habit over habit. It just learns how to do it without your thinking brain involved. It just knows how to get you there. Just like if you need to cough or you need to breathe, you don't have to think about breathing. You just automatically do it. So that's what they call, it's part of the autonomic part of the nervous system, the automatic part, right? And the back part of your brain is the subconscious part. So that is the part of the brain that a lot of these symptoms come from. So whether it's chronic pain, anxiety, depression, there's just all kinds of things, panic attacks, PTSD. There's so many symptoms that involve that come under this whole umbrella. But in my case, it's, as I said, mostly chronic pain and bouts of anxiety. Sometimes it's not like full-blown anxiety. I don't mean it that necessarily that high, but enough where it just really affects my physical body. I can go for walks and I feel like I have a ton of bricks in my body, and it's like I'm fine here, but my whole body is reacting to certain things. And so it comes in different ways. So what I've had to learn to do over time, and even like this past week, couple weeks, I was having a hard time getting myself out of bed. And then when I get out, I'm good once I get walking and clearing my mind and stuff. Although a few days ago, my nervous system was up again. And, when my nervous system gets up, if there's any latent sadness or things that I worry about or fears or like childhood traumas, not trauma, but, that stuff, it seems to be, everything is heightened. And it's like, what the heck? I'm feeling like there's nothing for me to be upset about today. But I can feel these emotions very intensely. And I'm like, okay, this is just my nervous system, and it's thinking it needs to turn on stuff, right? So I have to remind myself in these times when I get out going for my walk, I plug in, I program music, or it's podcasts or, self-help videos, motivational videos, whatever it is, and I help program my mind, because as I'm walking, your body is releasing good chemicals into your body when you exercise. That is huge. And so I find when the combination of fresh air, the sunlight first thing in the morning is big. Even if the sun is not shining, it's still there. You just got to be out in it longer to get the full benefits. But you get the fresh air, the exercise, the sunlight, the nature, all of that beautiful stuff. You get your good chemicals being put into your blood from your brain, the feel-good chemicals. And you start feeling good, and it helps you, clears your mind at the same time. So when I program at the same time as I'm doing that, everything seems to sink in better, and I'm able to find clarity and clearer mind at the same time, because I'm doing a lot of productive things all at the same time. If I'm explaining that well. Anyways, so some days, the last couple weeks, as my nervous system had it's been up and then it goes down, and it's like, I have good days and I have bad days, depending on, if I do something physically that turns on the nervous system, where it's still not, like I've got to still teach it that everything's safe and calm, and that sometimes it's a very long process. You talk to somebody who's dealing with any kind of chronic conditions and stuff, it's not something that we can just easily say, oh, get over that, that's not a big deal, and give all the information, because your body is something that it's learned. I mean, I'm almost 50, I'm 49, so 49 years of not dealing with certain things in my life, like just maybe, for example, being oversensitive, holding things in, not talking things out, because I take it to heart and I want people to read my mind and read my emotions without really communicating it, and all that stuff that gets stuffed in there. Well, it's, after a while, as you get older, it starts to come out in the body somewhere, somehow. And so that's what we're end up having to work on. I got to start walking because it's starting to rain. Anyways, just teaching my nervous system that, what, I'm okay, and teaching it safety, and that, so that it's daily habits, daily patterns that I have to continue to do to teach it new patterns. I mean, I've been 40-something years through my life before I realized, hey, I've got to change some patterns here. So you have 40-something years of bad habits, and good habits too, but the bad habits that have turned that on, it's going to take some time to get those symptoms down, especially if they're very strong. Like in my case, I had such bad chronic pain. I had a hard time taking the cover off a can of peanut butter. I needed help with a lot of stuff. Most people had no idea how bad it was. But anyways, so my process that I try to teach myself now is when I'm having one of those days where I wake up and I'm like, mentally I'm fine, but my body's turning on everything, and then everything starts coming to the surface, like I'm worrying about this, and I'm like, I don't even really know how to explain it to you, because most people would not understand this stuff if they haven't gone through it. But it is a strange process. But now when I'm feeling it, I just have to tell myself when I go for my walks, this is just a bad day. Or I don't even say bad, actually. I'm saying that so you guys understand what I mean. But I'm like, it's just a day. It's just a day. I'm not always going to feel like this. I'm going to feel on top of the world on another day. Right now, today is just a day, and I'm going to get through this. I do my processes. I've got to do what I got to do. I take my walks, and I reprogram what I can do, and that's what I can do. And this too shall pass. And it's kind of neat, because sometimes what happens is some days it feels like this ain't gonna pass. this is really, really, really heavy, and am I going to get through this? Is the body aches and the stuff going to turn off? Am I going to start like having more energy? I just seem to be lethargic, and what is going on? And sure enough, another day or two, and I'm like, everything is fine. It's just a bad day. Emotions can be on a high, or, oversensitive to things. And I know a lot of this stuff, there is stuff that is stemming from my childhood that I've got to find out and figure out what it is. And I know what a lot of the roots are, and I've got to work on those things. If I'm going to be honest, we're 15 minutes into a video. Most people aren't going to watch all this video. But just to be honest with you, one of the biggest roots in my life is self-rejection. It has been. Now I have I've been learning to love myself and find freedom, and that part is beautiful but that is something that I've always struggled with all my life. I dealt with rejection from others, worrying about what people think, too much, way too much. And often what would happen is that anger wouldn't be channeled towards them so much as it would be channeled towards myself instead. I used to look at myself when I was younger and a teenager, even at the beginning of my marriage. It wasn't until I married my husband and got connected with a certain community where they just really showed unconditional love that part of my life began to heal. But up to that point, I used to look at myself in the mirror and say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. People didn't know that. All they seen was the girl that came to church every Sunday and put on a smile. And yes, I was an outgoing personality. I could sing, had different talents and gifts. And I loved, where I was at and stuff with different things. But I struggled with a lot of self-hatred in my life. And now it's trying to finding out, okay, why? Why did I feel that? I didn't always fit in well with everyone. I had a hard time. I was usually I was always very hyper and very detailed, which sometimes aren't always the best qualities for everyone to appreciate, while other people loved it about me. It just really depended. But in school and people my age, I really had a hard time fitting in growing up. So there was a lot of stuff. And then, of course, you have your other issues that are going on in the home and different things and whatnot. And so there was a lot of stuff that I never really healed through in my life. And now I'm seeing a lot of this stuff coming up, and I know that I have to find ways to heal it. But sometimes it's like, how do you heal this? It's such a long process. I still will get paranoid and worry what people think. I made a couple posts there the other day. My newest poem and the thing about the dog, and I did it. And I did it anyways. Whatever, people don't understand where I'm coming from, that's okay. Because what you're reading is part of my journey. And even the thing about the little dog, what I called with a synchronicity, hey, that one sounds a lot like a coincidence, and I get that. And I'm okay with that. But the thing is that there is so much that happened leading up to that, those beautiful moments, that my mindset on a lot of things has changed. Just with my views on different things. That's a whole other topic. But anyways, I'm just really happy that, I gotta pause this. Anyways, the point is that, worrying about what other people think and getting those things healed, that is part of my process. Just being who we are and loving ourselves as we are. And if people don't really understand because we make a simple post about something, that they really don't really know the whole bulk of what it's all about, you know what? It's really okay. We're all on different waves, and we're all on different periods in our lives and journeys, and it's all good that way. But anyways, I just wanted to say that no matter what you're going through, remember that it's just a day. It's just a day. tomorrow can be better. And the day after that can be better. And even if the next day is rough, remember that, you know what, it's still just a day. And that is going to pass. And we get through this. But the thing is that when we stay in it, when we stay in the emotion and we allow ourselves to spiral down in it, then it's harder and takes longer for us to get out of it. But if we stay proactive and we create new habits and patterns in our lives, after a while, we start to adjust to these new patterns. It gets easier and easier and easier. When I first started my walks, it was really difficult to get out of bed and get motivated and get out, because it's like I just want to stay in bed. But once you get out, it changes everything. We get exercise and we start getting our blood flowing and circulating, and we get that fresh air and the sunrise and the sun. Or not the sunrise, not up that early, but well, now I am, because it's, it gets dark so early, but it's just, it can change us if we make the initiative to change and to learn. We've got to constantly educate ourselves. We think, oh, we've learned enough. It's just, you never stop learning and you never stop growing. The only problem with continuing to learn is when we don't implement what we're learning along the process. So there is that as well. So my thing is, never stop learning, never stop growing. But at the same time, we have to start implementing the things that we're learning in our lives. Doesn't mean we have to implement everything all at once. As I've said for a long time, it's one step at a time, one day at a time. So today, hey, you might not be out to get out on the walks, but hey, if you get out today for 5 minutes and you walk, okay, that's a step. 5 minutes. I'm out for an hour and 15 minutes. I walk 8.7 kilometers an hour, 8.7 kilometers a day now. And it has been but I didn't start that way, okay? And everyone's different on how much they'll be able to walk and what they have for availability to fit in their schedule. But we all have 5 minutes. We all have 5 minutes. We all have, we can always make time for something that means something to us. And so we've got to decide in our lives, okay, is my mental health worth it? Is my physical health worth it? Is my emotional health worth it? How much do I want to change? How much do I want my life to change? Are we just going to sit around and wait for someone else to do it for us? No, we can't. I know for me, when it comes to the neurological type, which is something I never would have understood before. Again, another quick example would be phantom limb pain. If people haven't heard of that, Google it. That's war veterans who's lost an arm. They don't even have an arm. And their brain, the trauma from that, the brain is not shutting off the pain. And they still feel pain in an arm they do not have. Now, explain that. That is what pain is basically stemming from the brain. It's also called psychogenic pain. There's multiple different, there's mind-body syndrome is another name that's called it. TMS, which is tension myoneural syndrome. There's a lot of different labels and terms that they give it. Psychosomatic, there's all kinds of, depending what your symptoms are, you might get a slightly different terminology used by professionals. But anyways, I just wanted to share this with you today. Just that if we make the changes in our lives to change, right, that's when we change. We can't, change just doesn't happen. We have to make it. So especially when you're dealing with these kind of things where it's really hard, other people can't come in and change us. Now, hey, if we need an operation or we need certain physical adjustments or something like that to help relieve some pain, and there's something physical that can be done, that helps. Yes, we need that. But when we're talking about other things, when those aren't really the issues, but you're dealing with all kinds of stuff, even digestive issues, your nervous system is shutting off your digestive system. Like, how do I hear explain that? When a predator, and back in the days, you know, when we lived more out on the land, the way we dealt with stresses was, if a bear was there, we ran and we saved our life. And, you know, at that point, your brain is not thinking about digesting food. It's not thinking about, you know, what you did yesterday, or I can't think of all the examples, but it's not thinking about digesting food. It shuts off the digestive system. It pumps you full of adrenaline chemical for you to run for your life. Okay, so bodily functions, things shut off during that time so that you can actually get out and save your life. Then once you're safe, the body turns back all of these things and you can focus on, you know, the regular functionings of your body. So people who deal with digestive issues, it's the same kind of deal. Your body is reacting in a different way than may I have. And that is by affecting your digestive system. It's in fight, fright, and flight mode, and it's not digesting foods properly. So again, it's learning to deal with these things in our lives so that we can heal. And if we're going to heal, we need to be proactive in our health and in what we do and in taking steps towards getting healed. And you've got to find what that is for you. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes we can't do it all by ourselves. I needed some help, you know, and now that I got on top of the worst of that pain, yes, the symptoms still come on, but I know it's neurological now, and it's something only I can do. Okay? There's some things only we can do. And even if we don't have help and we say, well, we can still get better. We might not be able to be whole by ourselves. We might have a hard time to get to that kind of a place if we don't have certain things that we need for help with, you know, whether it's, you know, you need a physical therapist or something, or you need a counselor, you need certain things. Sometimes, you know, some people don't have much support basis, and you know, my heart breaks for those people that it's like that. That makes it harder for sure. Just like the 6 years I didn't have anyone helping me with my chronic pain, it was very, very hard at that point. But the thing is that even in the midst of that, if we can learn to change our mindset, we won't suffer as much. If we can learn to change and make the little changes that we can do, because the more that we allow ourselves to spiral in the misery, the worse everything will get. And so there's always something that we can do to help change, to make our lives a little bit better, a little bit brighter. And so I just want to encourage you with that today. And I didn't think it would be this long of a video. It's a half-an-hour video, and that's okay. I don't expect most people to listen to this. But I'm also going to share it on YouTube. So maybe it'll help someone else other than just on Facebook. But I just want to leave that with you today, that if you're going through a rough day, remember, it's just a day, and we will get through this. Brighter days are coming. The sun is still shining, even when it's raining outside and the clouds are overcast and gray. That sun is still shining behind the clouds, and you need to remember that, because that's what's going to give us the hope and the courage to face each day that we have to come up against. There is beauty on the other side, and sometimes it's just harder to press through. And just remember that it's just a day, and you will get through this, and you will find light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Anyways, I'm sending you love and peace, and be the love and peace. Find hope in the midst of turmoil, because there is hope, and there's more than hope. You can have more than hope, but start with hope, because you need one day, one step at a time. Remember that. It doesn't have to be big steps. Just start to believe that there is hope for you to heal, to change, and to grow. And that starts by taking one step. Okay? Have a great day.